Hello. So we are live, I guess. Yes, we are live. We are live for last 25 seconds. So we are here to read a new play by Akul here. और ये play है, इसका नाम है Guy in the Yellow Sweater. So Akul, I will like to ask you to briefly explain us what was your inspiration behind this play and क्या बताना चाहोगे इस play के बारे में?
Yeah, so the entire play, I wrote it as a short story, so which was inspired by a photograph, an actual photograph of some event. So, and from that I took the characters, and then sort of happened.
Oh, good, good. And yes, so today we have Akul with us. He's the writer who's written this play. We also have one of our Rangai's another member, Shruti, with us. So yeah, Shruti, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello guys, I'm Shruti and I'm from Mumbai. I'm a first year BBA student and it has almost been a year since I'm a part of Rangaai. So yeah.
Good, 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 good. And just briefly, let me introduce myself. मेरा नाम तुषार है, तुषार दलवी. I am founder, artistic director for Rangaai Theatre Company. लगभग after 2 months, Rangaai Theatre Company is back online now, only online, doing bits and pieces of what we can do to keep our spirit of theatre alive. तो आज हम बस ये प्ले पढ़ेंगे जो अकुल ने लिखा है. सो या अकुल, आई थिंक देयर इज couple of lines of summary in your play. Would you like to start by reading that? And then in this play there are 3 characters. I will be reading Liam. Shruti, what character are you reading?
I will be the narrator.
Okay. And Akul, you are reading?
Yeah, I'll be reading the bloke.
The bloke. Okay, cool. And is it possible we guys can change our screen name now? I don't think so. We can't, right? I don't think we can. You can. Where is it? Can you tell me also? Like,
so yeah, below
it is not letting me change.
तुम्हारा
हो रहा है. Oh, how did you do that? कहाँ से किया? श्रुति को भी बता दो मुझे.
Yeah, you're in the show बोल के एक है ना, like where it shows you.
I got it. Yes. So Tushar as, I'm doing Liam, right? So I will just say as Liam. Okay, and Shruti as narrator. Cool. So we have our names changed. I think couple of lines summary is there. Akul, you can read that. And then anything in between. If we have any stage directions also, Akul, I would ask you to read those stage directions. Me and Shruti will stick to our characters. Does that sound good? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So no.
Yeah.
What I thought was narrator will read the couple of lines.
Oh. Okay. Then let's just keep it as Shruti, you reading the stage directions, and then तो वैसे रखते हैं, then it will make sense, right? It's a narrator doing his job. Yeah, good. So Shruti, start then. Let's start with a guy in the yellow sweater. Yes.
Okay. A guy in the yellow sweater. It was a bleak, cloudy day before, which calmed into a shiny, beautiful morning. Liam and I had just arrived after a tiresome trek in Letterkenny. Cooling off the exhaustion and yearning for a chill day, we went to a bar. It was averagely filled, not too shabby for a sit and relax. We sat down for a drink, pints of Guinness, and continued our discussion on our bus driver the previous night. I can't believe he smoked an entire cigar in one stretch. That was impressive. Liam was a bit tired to show his excitement. After all, the driving was too clumsy. Liam did not feel comfortable the entire journey. At some points, the road was a little risky, and Liam was worried the driver would plummet all of us to our deaths.
At that speed, a small rock is enough to topple the entire vehicle. Oh, Akul,
Oh,
is
I'm
there?
sorry. Okay, I'm frozen. Is
Yeah,
it?
yeah, you're froze. You're froze. We can't see your screen
Okay.
actually.
Yeah, okay. Like the plague.
The Bible one.
No, the great plague of Europe.
The bloke advanced to our booth and sat with us, engaging in our conversation. He was old, rigid, and alone, maybe. Just wanted to chat and share stories with us.
Hi, I'm Liam. How did you connect plague to our scary ride last night?
Well, there are no connections, obviously. It is the perturbation. A small pebble could cause a disaster, like the plague.
We were still blindsided. Perhaps he just wanted to talk about something. So we asked him to elaborate.
You know, there's a theory of what happened for the plague to occur. This is neither true nor a fallacy, but it seems fairly plausible. There was a man in Uzbek, Kuan was his name. He was a regular chap who transported arms, food, resources between towns. Steady life, suffice and alone. He became fond of his widowed dame, Zava. She was at least 20 years older than him, strong and firm. Women weren't allowed to portray themselves as independent and outspoken those days, And a widow? Widows were shamed, raped, and curbed down to submission. But this dame was like the sun. You could feel her power from miles across. It wasn't physical, it was authoritative. At that time, Europe and Central Asia were going through a lot of battles among empires, religions, and cultures. It was a total shit show. Zawa had her own rebellion to oppose the king and his believers. She fought for freedom and had administered civil riots to take down local leaders. Kuan was impressed by the work she did and wanted to join her rebellion. Of course, this was a problem because Kuan's family belonged to a community that supported the king. They warned him if he let the rebellion succeed, his family, his people would perish. So so he did something smart. Can you guys tell me what causes bus accidents most of the times?
Speed, drunk driver.
Not really. The driver tries to do something smart, maybe avoid a stone or a pothole, or try to save multiple things. Disasters have occurred when people tried to outsmart something while things were already out of control. Kuan did the same thing. He started a business of drums. He sold drums to people, very unique drums. And these drums were used for both music and as a symbol of rebellion. Zava bought and distributed a lot of drums from Kuan, and he became a treasure in her eyes. Every revolution started with a bang from this drum. Do you know how he built those drums? He used to transport foods and resources, right? And often his vehicle would get infested with snakes and rodents. He collected those snakes, skinned them, and made drums from their skins. Eventually, his business boomed because rebels from other kingdoms, troops, religious cults, and empires started buying drums from him. And for that, He had to skin millions of snakes from all over Europe, North Africa, and many other places. And because of that, the rat infestation increased all over, and the plague spread and killed people for centuries. You understand the perturbation, dear? It is said, it is said that that every drum he made was cursed by one or the other. So all the drums that were produced were cursed. They say when you bang the drum, it would summon destruction onto humanity. And there's one more thing. It's also said that some kid found one of these drums before World War II and started playing it as a recreation. The nightmare it brought. You're surely familiar with that.
We were intrigued by the story he put across. It was haunting. Liam and I looked at each other in silence for a while. The bloke broke a chuckle and asked,
Do you guys know any such stories? Like an event that has etched a deep scar on the future?
I know one. Although this is not as colorful as your story. It surely has a scar though.
hold on. What happened to Zeva and Kuan? At first, I thought you were telling a love story. Was that it?
Oh, of course not. There's a little more to that story, but I'll share that after Liam's story.
Well then. Well, okay, great. Anyway, there was a guy in my school, Colin. Average in studies, friendly, everything. We used to hang out, listen to Rolling Stone LP, classic teenager stuff. He had some problems at home, but it didn't seem like he was affected by them. He was playful and fun to chill with. And school was so much fun. By grade 7, I started observing that there was a guy, a guy in yellow sweater, waiting by the school as kids went back home. I observed him almost every day, standing a little far from the school in the same yellow sweater, watching kids leave. It became really eerie. So I told my friends about him. They ignored after a point, but I couldn't. I mean, I didn't try to investigate, but I kept a notice. It went on for a year. It was really weird. And one day, all of a sudden, he wasn't there. I started to freak out. I tried to ask a few people, but you never know what to really ask. I searched for the obituaries in paper. There wasn't any mention of his photo. I really wanted to know what had happened to the guy in the yellow sweater. A day later, someone found drops of dry blood and a piece of a brain in school ground. Cops were called and searched the whole ground. The next day, Colin was arrested for first degree murder. Can you believe that? He was taken to juvenile custody. School was closed because it was a crime scene after that. And the coming years, funders backed out as they did not quite trusted the sanity of the school, and it has been closed ever since.
Wow. What happened to the guy in the yellow sweater?
Well, there are so many theories running around among my friends. Many people say that Colin murdered his stepdad in the schoolyard. So, considering that, here's my theory. I think that the guy in the yellow sweater was Colin's real dad. One of those days, I must have told Colin about the guy in the yellow sweater. Maybe he connected with him, and maybe they both killed the stepdad and disposed of his body in the hopes of getting away, getting back with Colin's mom. I don't think Colin's mom was involved in this because as soon as Colin was convicted, she left everything and moved to Waterford. I have no idea what any of them are doing. I mean, if only I hadn't mentioned Colin about the guy in the yellow sweater, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But it's just a theory. You never know. I mean,
Couple of pints had gone down, and we were having an early bird lunch at 12. It was just 12, but it felt like so much had happened. But we weren't ready to stop. So, what happened to Ziva and Kuan?
Ah, yes, yes, yes. You see, when Kuan became a successful businessman, there was no stopping him. He wasn't doing anything illegal, but he now had money and power. And he worked closely with Zawa, so things were going great in his life. In one of Zawa's revolts, someone stabbed the king, and it gave rise to a lot of anarchy in the country. It was mayhem. Most citizens blamed Zawa for the king's death. So Kuan, as a sign of defending her, openly declared that Zawa is their new queen. So all king supporters can go fuck themselves. And he blatantly humiliated the king in a public ceremony. You know what he did? This is what he did. There was a public funeral for the king, where they covered where they covered his body with a blonde shroud. Kuan removed Kuan removed the shroud, covered it over Zawa, and pissed over the king's body. Everyone was mortified by his actions. Zawa was utterly disturbed. She chucked the shroud back at Kuan and walked off, saying that was not what her rebellion stood for. Kuan stood there, wearing the shroud over him, watching her leave. He turned into a monster in people's eyes that day. Everyone stopped respecting him. They started fearing him. With all the chaos happening in Europe and Central Asia, a conspiracy spread claiming Kuan was the Reaper himself, who was here to conjure doomsday upon humanity. Eventually, he started looking scary to people. A lone, powerful monster in a blonde shroud, walking slowly on the streets, playing drums that he made by skinning snakes, gazing into a void with a grin. This was no human. This was an eclipse. Where when a reaper dawns on a yellow cloak, he looks like an eclipse. Shades of yellow emerging from the sides while he's disguised in darkness. An eclipse is always present, but appears in less frequency. And once it appears, it will create a fire.
Like the guy in the yellow sweater?
Yes, yes, yes. And do you know the sound of the eclipse? Bam, bam, bam.
Liam was confused how I connected the guy in the yellow sweater to Kuan. To be honest, I wished there was a connection. Few connections I could draw were both of them wore yellow shaded clothing over them, lived alone, and the perturbation. I kept reiterating what had been placed on the table to dig deep into the cause of the perturbations. But it was too hard to drink as we were down with quite a few pints of Guinness. It was 10 minutes to 3. We were brimming with food, drinks, and stories. Why do you think there are these dreadful perturbations? As in, there are so many lone lads wearing yellow. So, how can you distinguish them with the eclipse?
Well, I don't know exactly how to distinguish them. I've not heard many stories of these eclipses, but Kuan became a monster, an eclipse, because of an ongoing quarrel. A conflict, yes, a conflict. And the cursed drum, of course. An eclipse surfaces during a conflict to create the perturbation. Like when the conflicts were happening here in Northern Ireland, I was expecting a perturbation. And it's not like an eclipse surfaces only with only evil in his mind. Sometimes he behaves like a driver trying to avoid a pebble or a pothole. You know, he tries to outsmart a conflict, which leads me which leads me to this question. We know that Kuan was the outsmart one in the plague's case, but who was the outsmart one in Colin's case?
Um, the guy in the yellow sweater? But wait, he didn't do anything smart as per the story.
But there must have been someone who clearly caused the mayhem.
The bloke and I looked at each other in shock. We turned to Liam, the outsmart one of his story, to catch his reaction to this unexpected turn of events. But Liam's gaze was directed to outside the bar, on the street, onto a guy with a kid. A jumpy kid holding the fingers of the guy. He looked older than a parent, content and age on his face, and wore a yellow sweater over him.
That's the guy!
Liam ran towards the guy. I shouted at him. We both did. But he was already out of the bar. The bloke insisted we wait inside. I agreed and did not assist Liam in his manhunt. He chased the guy in the yellow sweater walking with a kid. At one point on the street, the guy and the kid stopped for a photo to be taken. Liam rushed towards the guy in the yellow sweater. Bam! The bloke froze. Boom! An explosion. And newsflash states a car bomb explosion in Omagh, country Tyrone of Northern Ireland, 29 dead, many injured.
And there it is, guys. So
The end.
that's the end of our play reading, a short play written by Akul, our very own Akul. It's called A Guy in the Yellow Sweater. So, yeah, Akul, would you like to talk a little bit more about your play? Like, what inspired you? Why did you wanted to write a slow story or a play about an eclipse, as you've mentioned in your play?
Yeah. Okay. So it started with, I mean, as I said before, it started with a photo, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, no, I was watching some random videos on YouTube, and they were talking about
Let me
this
share that
photo.
photo actually with everyone here.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, Let me see if I can share that. Share screen and share screen. Sure. Are you guys able to see my screen? It's not on the
Yeah, it's
live
loading.
yet, is
Yeah,
it?
yeah, it's loading. Yeah, it loaded. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's
here.
loaded. It's here. And that's the photo you oh,
Yeah.
please stay.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's the
that's
photo. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah. So basically, this photo was taken. I think I don't know. I think 30 seconds before the car. You can see the car there. The car exploded.
Hmm.
It was a car bomb and it exploded. And this photo was taken 30 seconds or something before the car exploded. So
Oh.
yeah, so there's sort of like a disturbing backstory to this particular photo. I mean, it
Hmm.
looks very, it looks very normal, right? And there's something very unexpected happened, right? So yeah, and which led me to think about perturbations. a chaos and someone doing something outsmart and an eclipse and some sort of some sort of a doomsday thing happening there. So I
Yeah,
tried
yeah.
to put all these things together.
Yeah, also like what people call as the butterfly effect, I guess.
Hmm.
Some small actions turning into or snowballing into uh, bigger consequences. Having bigger consequences. Something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So like I mean a back I mean there's a political backstory to why this happened. It's because of some it's because of some sort of settlement or some sort of thing. I mean some sort of bill that was passed, and some people were pissed, and they they sort of did an explosion there.
Hmm. Hmm.
So no, it started because of that. So yeah, I know. So
Yeah.
I know.
So Akul had, told me about this story a few times before, and I had asked him if he could do a reading, convert this into a proper dialogue format, and make this into a short play, and if you could do a play reading. But Shruti, you read it first time. What do you think? How was the story for you?
Honestly, like when I read it the first time, I was like, I had to connect the dots as to how
Hmm.
the story was building up, and the
Hmm.
last part was like very unexpected. Like
Hmm.
I didn't because in the start I didn't know what exactly the story was talking about. I just thought that there's this conversation between two friends who've come back from a trip and this old
Right.
man. That's it. But as the
Yeah.
story got building and the elements that Akul has included, great job on that. Like really, the various elements that he has included about the eclipse and the perturbations that are so philosophical, and as well like it pokes your thinking to like think on a
Yeah.
broader aspect. So I really
Right.
liked how, and the way he has written it also is like the build up of it is also really nice. So actually it took me like the second time that I read, after that I got a hang of it. So yeah, it was overall like an amazing play and an amazing idea. Like, really.
Absolutely. I mean, when he first told me about the story, I mean, I could imagine the visuals that we can create with this, the gloominess of the bar, the periodic, time that it is set in, and the location, and those three characters. I mean, they're very much, the narrator keeps going on and off. He comes out of the scene, goes back in the scene. Liam, who is unknown, unaware of what perturbation he has created and does not realize, and then the this bloke who comes up and shares this story with them, and at the end where maybe there is another where we connect it to this car bomb accident or incident is where we see Liam going towards, and what happens is the visual that we may have at the end. Does Liam survives it, or Liam also becomes the victim of this bomb that has exploded? So there are so many things. I mean, and it's very short and simple. There are only three characters. It's all talky, but still very intriguing in its own way. It keeps you tied up to the story. Yeah. Cool. So it was a good thing. Good session, good reading on this. As you can see on the scroller going down, social media day that it is. And also because of COVID, since last 2 years, all the theatre people have had to move to digital. And digital has helped us survive and keep our spirits up. So we thought, why not, use that and use this day occasion of social media to read something and tie these two things together. So yeah, thank you very much, Akul, to letting us read this and sharing this wonderful piece with us. We are soon planning to work on this for a live production, hopefully once everything settles. I mean, we are all optimistic. We all theatre people are, as we are. We always like to plan and keep our hopes up and like to dream, as they say. And yeah, so this is our next project, hopefully, that we'll be working on soon. Any closing statements you guys want to share? Akul, do you want to share something? Any closing statements? Or Shruti?
I would just like to say like thank you to all our audience, and we are really hoping to see you in our online or hopefully the physical theaters. So yeah, thank
Yes.
you to everybody.
We have a message from audience. I don't know if it is visible. Can you guys see? Nice effort, Akul, from Mr. J.V. Ravichandran. Thank you very much, sir. Our two friends also had joined us in Urjata and Ankit and Savita. Thank you very much, guys, for showing your love and support to join us. I know this was very abrupt. We did not announce this session today, so which is why we don't have a lot of audience. But we will try to do a lot of planned sessions like this, some readings. It is really nice to do something every now and then. This was not at all planned. This was actually supposed to be. I tricked people to come on board and do this as a practice live session, but it ended up being an actual live session. But yeah, I'm glad we did it. I mean, it went well. I believe. I mean, we did a good reading. It felt nice to actually pick up a character and read it in a character after almost 2 months now. So yeah, great. Hopefully, we'll come with our comedy play the next time. The proposal that we do in Hindi, we'd like to do that reading sometimes online, and that is very funny. I assure you, and that will be more fun. We'll plan it properly, maybe. Yeah, yeah. Akul, do you want to say something for closing?
No, I mean,
How was the experience?
thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for playing the characters. It was fun.
Oh yes, yes. It was our pleasure.
Thank you for the
Cool.
opportunity for like giving us a chance to play these characters.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, thank you, Akul, for writing such a piece. Cool. So, yeah, with that thought, let's say goodbye for now. And with the hope that we will soon plan something again very soon with some sort of notice beforehand so that people can join us. Thank you. I will go offline, but we'll stay to discuss after this. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the online audience. We are ending the broadcast. Thank you very much.